This is our factoring trinomials part 2.
Like you tried to say one.
Now here's the deal. This is just going to add one element in there. It's not majorly different than what we've already done. We're just going to add an element to it. Was it anybody absent on Friday? All right, good answer. Okay, so we're not going to do part A. But if you have the notes, it says when factoring, you must always check for a what? GCF. First thing you do always is the GCF. If there is a GCF, you factor it out. Then try to factor the remaining parts using rooftop or if necessary. Rooftop, like I said, in this class, we don't rooftop everything.
Does rooftop stand for something?
No, not anything at all. It's just because it has rooftops. Okay? Alright, so the first thing you ask yourself, is there a GCF? Now let's go ahead. You should already have A example done. Okay? So we're just going to go right to the B example. On the B example, we have 3a squared minus 15a plus 12. So the first thing you want to do is ask yourself, is there a GCF? 3. 3 is a GCF. So I'm going to take 3 out. And if I take 3 out, remember, I'm showing you kind of the right, more easy to transition to algebra 2 way versus trying to break everything down as small as possible because that makes it a little more complicated if you ask me. Once you take out this GCF, they all have 3 in common. Now just start to divide. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Do I need to write the 1? No, because I have an a squared that'll keep that place. If there's nothing else there, then you need to write the 1. Okay, but in this case, I still have the a square, so I'm going to write the a square down. Negative 15a divided by 3 is? Negative 5a. Oops. And then 12 divided by 3 is? Positive 4. Okay, so our next thing, and again, this is where we differ. This is where we take a left turn and the rest of the class are taking a right turn. They want to rooftop everything. Do we need to rooftop what's left? No. Okay, because now we're not looking at this anymore. We're going to keep it because it is a factor, but we're not going to look at it until we're just going to keep bringing it down. What I want to look at now is the remaining parts. Let's try to factor the remaining parts, but do I need to rooftop the remaining parts? No, I don't, okay, because I have no coefficient in front of the a squared term. So what am I going to do instead? Bring down what? Drop your, no. Parentheses, thank you. You drop the parentheses first. Give yourself 2 parentheses first. Now drop in the a's. And so you don't forget, go ahead and bring this 3 down. Okay, so the 3 just comes down on the outside of the first set of parentheses. Okay, any questions? No coefficient in front of the variable. Automatically drop your parentheses and then drop your a's into the parentheses. First 2 steps all the time, or x's or y's or whatever letter it is. Okay, what are we going to do now?
You have to find something that adds a negative 5.
Okay, what are we going to look at in our problem?
Multiple of 4 that adds up to negative.
Okay, so factors of 4 that add to negative 5. Remember, we're looking at, if we're thinking about FOIL, we're looking at our last term. Okay, in order to find factors of our last term that equal our OI term. So our last term that equal our OI term. Okay, so first ones that come to your head.
Negative 4, negative 1.
Okay, negative 4, negative 1. Okay, so negative 4 times negative 1 is 4. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. So what do I do with these factors? Somebody other than Nathan? Put it in the parentheses. Just like they are. So a minus 4 and a minus 1. And now I am completely factored.
What happens to... I thought this was going to be a stupid question, but what happens to the exponent with the a?
Okay, great question. Now here's the deal. I want to go backwards now, okay? Let's check our answers. And guys, I think that checking your answers is very important, especially on standardized tests. I get that you're not going to probably do that on your homework as much because you just want to get it done. That's your choice. Checking is always a good thing, okay? On these, it's good to check these because conceptually, it's hard to see where did everything go. What happened to everything? So checking this will allow you to see where it goes. So let's check this. The first thing I want to do when I check this is I want to go from here. I want to FOIL, but you can do either one. So let's start with this. Let's start with 3 times A. Let's distribute 3. 3 times A is 3A. Whoops, could have used the right tool. 3A. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. So this is what I have now. Okay, now I need to FOIL. So 3A times, not 12. 3A times A is? So here's your A squared coming back. There's your exponent coming back. Okay? 3A times negative 1 is? Negative 3A. Negative 12A. Negative 12 times A, sorry, is negative 12A. And negative 12 times negative 1 is plus 12. Go ahead and combine your like terms that are always in the middle there when we FOIL, or most always in the middle. Okay? And now you end up with 3A squared minus 15A plus 12. Does that match our problem? If you check your work, you should basically have a sandwich. Here's your bread, here's the stuff in between. Because, right, these two things match. 3A squared, negative 15A, negative 15A, 12 and 12. Everybody follow that? Okay, does that help clear up your answer? Okay?
Wait, so what we're doing today is just basically a shortcut if they all have a common GCF.
It's not a shortcut, it's just the first step.
Okay.
It's the first step. Now, here's the deal. So what we're doing is this. Essentially, listen. Essentially, here's what's happening. Essentially, you could go on with your life and factor using rooftop on everything all the time, no matter what. You could rooftop everything all the time, no matter what, using rooftop. But what's happening is one, I taught you that you don't have to rooftop here, necessarily. Okay? Because there's no exponent, there's no coefficient in front of the first term. Okay? This keeps us from rooftopping because I factored out the GCF. So what we're doing is, we're not necessarily doing a shortcut, we're just thinking smarter, not harder. Okay? So we're taking out a GCF if we're so lucky that when we take that GCF out, we're left with a problem that doesn't require rooftopping, then it makes our problem easier. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're just basically cutting to the chase rather than just saying, hey, the only way you can do anything is rooftop. I'm not that kind of teacher that believes you can only do things one way. You do it however you feel comfortable. If you want to rooftop everything, that's your choice. If you want to do this, that's better. But taking out that GCF is going to reduce errors and mistakes. All right, let's look at example C. Okay, example C is 2r cubed minus 4r squared minus 6r. Our first step is to do what? Find the GCF if there is one. Sometimes you're not going to have one. Okay? So do I have a GCF here? 2r. Very good. I heard somebody say 2r. Because now they all have 2 in common. 2 goes into 4, 2 goes into 6. And now they have r, and r. And the lowest r is r. Okay? So take out 2r. And remember, it's just going to keep following the problem. What does that leave me with? 2r cubed 2 divided by 2 is 1, unnecessary to write, because r cubed divided by r is r squared. Got to remember your exponent laws, right? Okay, 3 minus 1 is 2. Remember your exponent laws. 4 divided by 2 is, negative 4, thank you. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. R squared divided by r is r. Okay? Negative 6. R divided by 2r is negative 3. Okay? So now you have your GCF out here and the remaining parts. Okay? I want to try to factor the remaining parts. So if I try to factor the remaining parts, what am I going to do first? Somebody other than Nathan. Kaylee, go ahead. Okay, I'm going to drop my parentheses first. Okay, once I drop my parentheses, what am I going to do next? Kirsten. Put some R's in there. Okay, once I do that, what's my next step two? Drop the 2R. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to factor. So what's my next step trying to factor? What am I going to look at? What term, Nick Brunick?
Which one are you trying to factor?
I'm trying to factor this now. So what am I going to look at?
Or, like, what do you mean trying to factor?
To factor. In order to factor. What we did on the last problem. Here, Alexis, go ahead. Not -2.
Negative 3.
I want to look at -3. I want to find factors of -3 that equal -2. Right? Factors of -3 that equal -2. You see that? So I'm going to look at my last term, -3, find factors of it that add up to -2. So you do need -2, but I'm looking for -3 first. Okay, so factors of -3 that equal -2. Okay, so -3 times 1, right? Because -3 times 1 is -3. -3 plus 1 is -2. Okay, so what do I do with these factors now, Hammer?
Bring them over.
Just bring them over, right? R minus 3 and R plus 1. And there's our answer. Okay. Any questions on that one?
Thank you.
Okay. We're not going to check that one just for time purposes. All right, let's look at our last example on the front page there. Example D. Example D is 3p4 to the 4th power minus 3p to the 4th power minus 5p cubed minus 28p squared. Okay, do we have a common denominator? I'm sorry, GCF. Yes, p squared. Now, don't get thrown off because some people said no because 3, 5, and 28 don't have a number, right? A numerical common GCF, but there still is a p squared. So take that p squared out. What? 3 does not go into 5 at all.
No, I know, but how is it?
Okay, they have p squared because they all have p's, right? This has 4 p's, this one has 3 p's, this one has 2 p's. So the most this one can give up is 2, so this one can give up 2, and this one can give up 2. So they still have a p squared in common. So now the easy thing is I can bring down my numbers, right? 3, -5, and -28, right? Now I just have to put the p values there. So p to the 4th power divided by p squared is p squared. 4 minus 2 is p squared. Okay, p to the 3rd power divided by p squared is just p, right? 3 minus 2 is 1, so just p. And then p squared divided by p squared is nothing. It's 1, right? We don't need that 1. We have the 28 there, the -28. So now there's our GCF. The p squares are only GCF. And there's our other remaining parts. Okay? So let's start to factor that. Let's try to factor the other remaining part. First step is what? Drop the parentheses. Always the first step. No, sorry, excuse me. Can we drop the parentheses here? No, why not? You have a coefficient now. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Now what are we going to do? Rooftop. Okay, so 3 times -28 is what? -84. Okay, so I'm going to look at factors of -84 that equal what? -5. Here's a trick for you in your calculator. I've already told you this once. Just a reminder. Use your calculator and hit y equals. Okay, do -84 divided by x. Hit second table. And now look, you can see all your factors. So you're looking at factors. You're trying to find a factor that will that'll equal negative 5. So what are they?
There's nothing that equals
That's not true at all.
7 and negative 12.
7 and negative 12. Okay, good job. So 7 and negative 12. Now, what am I going to do with these this time? Because I didn't drop the parentheses this time. So what's my next step?
Put it in the
Make it into a 4-term polynomial. Okay, so how do I do that? What am I going to write?
3p squared
3p squared
minus 12p
minus 12p. Very good.
plus 7p
Plus 7p
minus
minus 28. Okay? Am I forgetting anything on that line?
Yes.
What do I
You
need?
to bring the p squared.
I need to keep bringing that p squared down. I don't want to forget about it. Some people will wait till the very end to bring it down, but when you're learning, just keep bringing it down so you don't forget about it. Okay? So p squared just comes down. Okay, now, what do I do to continue factoring this? So, group them, right? So now I'm going to have 3p squared minus 12p and positive 7p minus 28. Okay, and I can bring my p squared down if I want. What am I going to do with the 3p squared minus 12p? You're going to take the GCF. It's going to come out. Okay, so the GCF is 3p. So 3p squared hang on.
What do you do with the p squared?
Well, we're going to leave it there for just a second. Okay, so 3p squared divided by 3p.
P.
Okay, it comes out to p, right? Negative 12p divided by 3p is negative 4. On the other side, what do I factor out? 7. 7p divided by 7 is 7p minus 7 is p. Negative 28 divided by 7 is negative 4. Okay, wow, we got the same thing right here. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing.
Good thing, okay? So, Nathan asked, what are we going to do with this p? Well, here's where it gets tricky. You need to leave this p squared, you need to leave this p squared kind of right there hanging out. Okay? Because you don't want to bring it down and accidentally multiply it to the 3p. Okay, we're going to bring it down at the end now. We brought it down as far as I want to and feel comfortable with. Don't bring it down here and accidentally multiply by 3p because that would be wrong. Okay? So now what do I do to finish factoring this?
You do 3p plus 7 times
Oops.
p minus 4.
So I'm going to bring these factors together, and it's going to be 3p plus 7 times p minus 4. Now bring the p squared back down. And there's your final answer.
That is a process.
Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, let's look at example E. It's good to do a bunch of examples to make sure that we got it down. Okay, example E is 2x squared plus 11x minus 21. What's our first step? Find the GCF. Is there a GCF? No. Okay, what do I need to do here? What method? I have to do rooftop, right? I have to do rooftop because there's a coefficient in front of x. Okay? So 2 times negative 21 is negative 42. So I need to find factors of negative 42 that equal to positive 11. Okay? What? Why don't I have confidence in your answer?
It's negative 3 and 14.
You probably revised that in your process.
Okay, so negative 14. Oh, sorry. 14 and negative 3, right? So 14 minus 3 is equal to 11, which is what we're looking for, right? Okay, so what do I do now? Savannah, what do I do now? I have a 3-term polynomial. I just found factors. What am I going to do now? Not a trinomial, but it's already a trinomial. Huh? Yeah, a 4-term polynomial, right? How am I going to do that, Savannah? What's going to happen with this 2x squared? Does it come down or does it stay there? Yeah, bring 2x squared down. Now what happens to 11x? Yeah, plus 14x minus 3x. See what we're doing here? No? Okay. And then what do I do with the 21? Negative 21? Bring it down. Negative 21. Now what? Somebody different. Rhiannon, what do I do now? Guys, this is the hardest part right here is factoring with rooftop because it's just the hardest factoring there is, really. Okay? Yes? Yeah, now I grouped them. I put them in parentheses. I grouped them. Okay? Now what? GCF out of each one. Okay? So the GCF of the first one is? 2x, right? 2x squared divided by 2x is? X. 14x divided by 2x is? Plus 7. Okay, what do I factor out of the second grouping? Negative 3. Negative 3. Good though.
Is it okay if you do 3 though?
No.
Because you can just go back and fix it. Like.
Yeah, well, why would you want to do that? Why don't you just do it all right now?
I'm just saying if you made a mistake.
Oh, if you make a mistake, yeah, you're going to see why. If you do 3, when you pull 3 out, you're going to end up with negative x minus 7. So then you have to go back and pull that negative out. Okay?
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, just make sure you get that negative 3 first. So negative 3 comes out. So negative 3x divided by negative 3 is? X. Negative 21 divided by 3 is? Plus 7, right? Okay, everything's good because these match. And so now what are our factors? 2x minus 3 times x plus 7. And that's our answer. Okay? You just got to practice, and memorize these steps. Okay? Last example on this one before you jump over to special products.
Are we going to have 2 homework assignments?
Yes. Okay, F is 28m squared plus 4m plus 8. GCF. Okay, 4. So let's pull out the 4. That leaves me with 28 divided by 4 is 7m squared. 4 divided by 4 is just m. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay? Now I have a GCF. What do I have to do now? Say again? I heard somebody say it. Rooftop. Is that you, Brittany? Rooftop. Okay? I got a rooftop because I have a coefficient in front of the m squared. So, 7 times 2 is 14. What am I going to use that 14 for?
Factors of it that add up to 1.
Factors of 14 that add up to 1. Where did you get that 1 from, Nathan?
It's the variable, it's just known as
Right here, right? We're still looking at factors of 14 to get this OI term. Well, there's no number here, so it's got to be a 1, right? So factors of 14 that equal 1. Anybody? Okay, so the only factors I know are 1 and 14, negative 1, negative 14, 2 and 7, negative 2 and negative 7, and anybody else have anything else? No. And this is 15, this is negative 15, this is 9, and this is negative 9. So we can't find factors of 14 to equal 1. So what that, it's not prime because we've already done what? We've already taken a GCF. So our answer is just 4 times 7m squared plus m plus 2. Now that portion, just to make sure we understand that, this part is prime. But the problem is not prime because we did take a GCF out. But this part is prime. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Put that